Hello, Bears. We are here for another Apex Predators. I'm Littlest Minish, and I'm joined by Justin, otherwise known as Disturbed, and
Hello.
our champion of the hour, Renzo. Could be anyone Pastor. Welcome, buddy. Of
Hello. Thank you for having me.
course, and congratulations.
Thanks.
So, first of all, where was the Sinkhole 2 at?
It was in New Jersey at a Marriott Hotel.
Okay. So this is New Jersey CDH. Is that a group or is that a store that was sponsoring it?
No, it's like a TO based out in Jersey. It's a group of guys that have been going to their tournaments now for quite a while. Fun
Okay.
group. They also have their own server. Shout out to NJcEDH.com. Come play at that Discord. I'm there all the time.
All right. Cool. Awesome. I'm in the area. I should definitely look them up. Can you guys hear my cat?
No.
I heard the slight meow, but it kind of cut it out.
It's totally fine. Um, we have wild animals aplenty. Um, you went 3-2-0 in Swiss and obviously finished for the 5-2-0 because you were in first place.
Yeah.
So typically how I do this is I walk you through your prep and then talk about your deck list and then we'll go through rounds. Sound good to you?
So yep, that's it.
All right. So running into this tournament specifically, what changes were you looking at when you and how did you prep and what changes did you start with?
Yep. So I guess I should start by saying that when it comes to tournaments, I'm pretty indecisive about what I'm going to play because I play so many decks. I play
Mm-hmm.
Magda, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
I play Lumra, Sisse, Blueform. I have so many freaking decks. Um, and so I've also been grinding for the Invitational.
Are you locked
And
for that?
yeah, I am 25th on the leaderboard.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
S-
At the time, going into Sinkhole, though, I didn't realize that they had increased the cap to like 80 players, and I was currently like 70 something on the leaderboard, and so I think the only way that I could really secure a spot in the Invitational would be to get top 16, and I was feeling kind of defeatist about getting top 16 in a 100 something person tournament, so I was just gonna play a deck for fun. I was gonna play Big Narset, extra turns, big flips,
Yeah,
and that's the only deck I played going into the Sinkhole, like in my practice games. I didn't play a single game with Lumra.
that's
It was my
hilarious.
wife that convinced me, like you should play one of your more serious decks. You're gonna regret it if you don't. And last minute, I ended up just playing Bear.
You hear that, ladies and
Um,
gentlemen? Loomer is the serious deck.
yeah. So I ended up playing Bear. And the night before Sinkhole, I was making changes. I think the only thing I did was take out Scavenger Grounds, and I took out PP Cam, and I put in a Forest and the Oracle of Moldiah. Which I mean, I didn't see Oracle at all, so I can't really tell you how it's performed
Oh, boo.
in the
No,
tournament.
no
Yeah,
shot. Every person that has gotten first with Oracle has still not seen it the whole tournament.
yeah,
It's
I've not
good.
seen it in a
That means
tournament game.
it's so good it doesn't even need to show up to get you the dub.
I saw it in like one of my games for fun this week when I went to my LGS, and it put in work. It was great, but did not see it at the tournament, unfortunately.
Well, I guess we'll just have to find out the next time someone gets a top four without seeing
Yeah.
their Moldiah up. So, I know you didn't scrimmage any, do a whole lot of test games or anything like that, but typically when you're playing Lumra, what do you think your bad matchups are?
Bad matchups. I would say being in like an all turbo pod. I feel like that's rough. It I feel like it's generally easier to win games with Lumra at like the high tables where there's some blue in there and people are playing responsibly.
Hmm.
They're mulliganing for interaction because I need the game to go on long enough so that I can pop off.
Right, we like
But if
T and K.
somebody Yeah. So like if somebody is just, sending it with like a turn one Adnos, turn one Necro, I'm probably losing that game. Um, but it always feels better when there's some blue at the table to kind of like keep the pot in check.
Right. Yeah, we unfortunately can't dark rid out a three ball or anything like that.
Yeah.
How do you feel about, I guess, in tournament play specifically?
Mm.
I saw you did some deck changes, but I've noticed you've been running Carpet of Flowers for a while.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Carpet of Flowers in like
Um,
tournament play?
so the area that I play in, right, here in like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, a little bit New York, because there aren't that many events here in New York City, unfortunately. Um, there's a lot of like rock thrash. They love Thrasios decks around this area and Kinnan, and so it's very likely that I'm gonna get paired up with a blue deck. And that one little extra, or sometimes even 2 pips every turn consistently, personally I like it. It's sometimes, on those Lumra turns where you need every bit of mana to get Lumra and have enough for like Mirror Pool, whatever, that one little bit ends up mattering, I feel, at least for me. So I enjoy Carpet of Flowers for sure.
Yeah, I can definitely see how it's especially when you're angling for top pods, just having that consistency on in the last couple of games and in the fifth round, fifth, sixth round is helpful. But if I were taking it to somewhere that's like, very Wild Westy, I'd probably just fit another silver bullet land. uh
Yeah, sure.
but I totally get it. So here are the differences. Oh, that's in Eric's primer. That's Disturb's list.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, we're doing it live. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
a couple other the title. Yeah.
There it is. Oh yeah, no.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we will. Look not at the man behind the curtain.
Oh no, people are gonna see me on Apple of Eden. Yeah, don't worry about that, guys.
Okay. All right. So these are the differences. Broadly speaking, I'm seeing slightly more speed bumps, slightly more alternate win con lands on your side, Renzo, and then on Justin's side, I'm seeing slightly more value generation. Um, I see um,
I should
Eternal.
point out
Yeah, what's up?
really quickly that Malforonum has actually been swapped for Field of the Dead. I just haven't made the list edit on
Okay.
my deck yet.
The 6 mana is a lie. Um,
Yeah.
um. So, but yeah, I'm seeing you're taking different paths towards value generation. It looks like I'm seeing a lot more speed bumps and a lot less interaction and a lot less rebuy. Um, on
Yeah.
you got.
Yeah. So, but I do like before I started with this version of the deck, right? When I first started playing Lumra,
Mm-hmm.
I think I copied like the Cocaine Bear list. So it was just like
Mhm.
all turbo sending it. And while I was having fun, learning the deck and doing all these silly things with lands and cEDH, I was finding that I wasn't really like winning games in my local LGS. And once I made the switch to like a more stacksy build, I feel like I was able to win because like for example, something like a null rod or a collector oof that shuts down some of the Kinnan players that I play with, or
Yep.
like the Grixis Pirates players, that shuts out their stuff, and it allows me to just get there like a turn. It extends the game for like a turn longer, enough for me to just like kind of like pop off. So I've definitely enjoyed having the stacks here because uh, I feel like removal people aren't slotting as much removal in their decks, and so typically once something lands, it sticks and they might try to remove it, and that can start some counterspell war, and hopefully not enough that my thing gets bounced, but enough that some blue counter magic has been used so that I can pop off. It can be, tricky for sure playing stacks, because sometimes one player might not be as well affected by the stacks as others. But I definitely enjoy the deck a lot more when it has stacks.
Yeah, I especially as our, I guess, 3 and 4 mana slots have gotten a little punchier. We've been willing to in like Oracle, for example, stuff like that has gotten a little more uh acceptable. It makes those stacks pieces less painful because we have just a higher density of just things we can dirtle with.
Yeah.
All right.
Uh,
Yeah.
Looking at what's unique, I have noticed that we are both on Root Path Purifier, and I know a lot of different people talk about being on or off Root Path Purifier,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to know like your opinions on Root Path Purifier.
Yeah, I love the card. It's one of the reasons why I'm kind of like off. Like I used to be on ESG and I used to be on Allosaur Shepherd. Um, but I really want like my Nissa flips to reveal, something a bit more impactful,
Mhm.
and to try and find root path or to try to find a Shaya. So I think the card is really good. Once you can get the whole thing going, you've got your Fabled Passage, Prismatic Vista, Ghost Quarter, whatever. You can really like start like getting into the game. Like somebody tries to win with Oracle. Okay, let's crack this. Find Gaia Reach Centarium, and
Mm.
stop you from winning. Or Pit of Offerings, all these like silver bullet lands that can kind of like stop people from winning the game or make their lives difficult, like with like a tabernacle or something like that.
Yeah.
And I I fold that back to the previous topic of like stacks giving you the room and you being able to actually take the space to
Yeah.
you know get consecutive value off of cards like that. I feel like if you're playing a turbo build and you're just including that package as kind of just like more hits, it can feel like you are a little you can run out of gas pretty quickly if you put all your eggs in one basket there.
Yeah, that
Um
makes sense. I mean, if you're playing all turbo, like you're trying to just like send it, find Lumra, send it, and hoping that the flip is gas or whatever, and like
mhm.
trying to rely on a 4 mana drop. If you're not really slowing down the game, it can feel a bit awkward.
All right.
And one other
Mhm.
quick question about unique cards. Of course, I see Sunscorched Desert. I know Ian or White and Flame was off of Sunscorched Desert when he played SCG Con.
Right.
Was there ever really a point where you won with Sunscorched Desert that you could not have won another way, or was Sunscorched Desert just the easy way to present your win?
So simplicity for me, I think, is key, and especially because of, like, tournaments and time restrictions. I know some players around here, they're griefers. They will make you play out the line,
Hmm.
hoping to either, run out the clock or hope that you stumble, presenting something very clear, like I'm just gonna pin you to death with the land, you guys are dead, or I'm gonna make my lands gigantic with this bossing say and you guys are dead. People tend to like scoop to that. I feel like if I were to, try and do a GRS loop, they'll want to play it out because they'll think, oh, I can draw something. I can exile a Simian Spirit Guide or an Elvish Spirit Guide, blah blah blah.
That's my exact reason for playing Apple of Eden.
Yeah. So I like the simplicity of it, of just being able to say, I'll pin you to death, and people tend to concede right then and there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's completely fair. I definitely think, yeah, some scores Desert helps a lot with timing restrictions. I specifically mentioned in my primer that like probably in tournament play you should play some scores Desert, but I
Mhm.
know recently with some of the people that have talked, they weren't on it. And that's why I wanted to ask on your opinion on it. And I think a lot of players probably agree on that. That just for simplicity and timing sake, that Sunscorched Desert probably is correct to play in tournament play, and I don't think
Yeah.
there's anything wrong with that.
I think it depends thoroughly on how comfortable you are telling the other three players shut the fuck up and let you take game actions. I was reading this like just terrible I'm gonna quit cEDH story on the Reddit the other day because someone got obviously griefed out of a game they had locked just because players were talking about game actions they theoretically were not gonna take or would take during
So
yeah.
I saw that thread. I saw your comment, but I typically don't comment on the cEDH subreddit. I just read everything.
Yep.
Sometimes when people talk about bear, I'll comment, but
Yep. It's just so sad when that kind of thing happens. So I definitely agree it's the path of least resistance, but I think these people are abusing people and they probably should not be allowed to. I don't think we should build our decks around people being you know breaking the social contract as it were. But I do I got a question for you. On
Yeah.
Magda, are you on any kind of like easy out cards?
Easy out cards. Oh,
Like just outlets.
the pinger thing, or like the dragon. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, or I guess grinding
Yeah.
station.
No. Usually the way I win with Magda is just 20-shot sniper loops,
Yeah.
or now with the Legion extruder.
Yep. That makes sense. That's
Yeah.
I was just curious
Yeah.
if it
No,
held.
I feel like those are very easy loops to establish. Like people will concede to that as well.
Yep.
Once I tell them I can just loop that in and out of the deck.
Mm-hmm. All right.
look, I'm a psychopath. I destroy everything, take away their hands, and then show them the guy reach.
Yep. That's about right. All right, so let's talk about individual cards. We've talked so Oracle Voltaia, obviously, we're still waiting. The jury's out.
Yeah.
So Field of the Dead. A lot of
Yeah.
people find that to be kind of ancillary right now. It's like in and out. It's not like it's obviously not like a flex card, but it's like somewhere in the 80s to 100 in terms of the list.
Yeah, for sure. Because if you have it in the early game, it's a land that pretty much does nothing. But
Mm-hmm.
where I think it really shines is when you're maybe doing a non-deterministic like mirror pool loop, and you flip the cradle and the field of the dead. Uh, Now you've got a little bit more mana to keep going, or just in combination, like when you get to the late game, just having Field of the Dead with Cradle, I think
Mm-hmm.
it's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was playing Field of the Dead, I had several games where flipping Cradle while it was in play was enough to get me to win the game. So
Yeah,
I definitely understand being on it.
How I guess with like those kind of like really ridiculous combo with lands, stuff like Elemental Teachings feels a little bit better. But I guess if you're planning for blue, you're not trying to win with cards in the stack.
yeah. No, I try not to rely too much on instants and sorceries. One, because I'm not on Timeless Witness, so it's difficult to get them out of the yard. I
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't know if I can get them out of the yard with the cards that I have in my deck. I don't think so.
Are you on
Not
Eden?
I
Eden
am
does
on Eden,
permanence.
but it
Oh yeah,
only
right.
does
Yeah,
permanents,
you're
yeah.
right.
So, yeah, instants and sorceries, I don't really wanna rely too much on those to try and, like, win the game, you know?
Sure.
Mhm. Yeah, since I'm not on Desert, that's part of why I also still run Timeless Witness.
Gotcha.
Just because that allows me to grab Finale or something if necessary to just kill the table.
So Graph's Cage, I'm assuming it's just dealing with the plurality of ROG X decks.
Correct, yeah, all those ROG decks, the Kinnons, the
Just
Sisseys,
say this is what came to
Magdas,
mind for me.
um, it just stops so much. I was hesitant at first. When I saw Aaron play it, I I f- thought it was kind of crazy because we run all these like Eldritch Evolution effects as well, and like kind of hoses us down. But once I gave it a shot, put it in the deck, I realized it's pretty good. Like, sure, it kind of feels bad when you have a direct to the battlefield tutor,
Hmm.
but I mean, the fact that the game keeps going, you're not losing to Breacher, you're not losing to the Cannon Flips or to whatever other stuff is at the table. Like, I like that. I want the game to keep going. I want to find a way to win.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I mean, my favorite thing to say about Lumra is like the deck's inevitable. Like if you
Yeah.
get a long game going, you are going to win the game.
yeah, typically, and you can often tiptoe into that position where, oh, they don't quite realize they've lost already, and you're just waiting for someone to step on the rake, as it were, and give you your point of low interaction to just go off over top.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, Graph's Cage is one of those cards that pretty low cost of inclusion in terms of your overall curve. Um, unlike some stacks piece where 2 and 3 gets a little expensive, but
Yep.
you again, if you build high density on value generators, cards like Malevolent, cards like Turtle, Tortoise rather, you're breaking parity way better than your colleagues who are just um, tutored for breach.
Mhm.
All right, let's look at the cards that are not in your list. I I get Allosaurus Shepherd now. Um you're not super worried about getting countered because your win cons are largely on board creature and permanent based.
Yeah.
Um and Eldritch I'm assuming is just because you don't is it the non bow with
Correct. Yeah, with the
graphs?
cage, and also I was talking to Justin about this earlier. I prefer natural order because typically, like, one of the big things I'm trying to find is famished world sire.
Mm-hmm.
And so just being able to sack, you know, something else that's not Lumra and just get the famished world sire out, I feel like that's much more valuable than just like the 3 mana for the Eldritch Evolution. It's one more, sure, but I can find the world sire from even like an insect from Springheart Nantuko.
Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and also we talked about shifting woodland capabilities because Eldritch Evolution exiles itself, so it's no longer one of those card types in the yard.
Yep.
On Elvish Spirit Guide and Allosaurus Shepherd, I know you partially pointed out that for Nissa Flip specifically was part of why
Mhm.
you're not running either of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to play both of them in the deck.
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes off of those Nissa flips when I was like having my big Loom return, I'd reveal like Elvish Spirit Guide, like, oh great, I already have so much mana. I don't need an Elvish Spirit Guide, give me something better. So it's really just to make those Nissa flips a bit more impactful. And since I'm on stacks, I don't feel that I need to, that free mana from the Elvish Spirit Guide to try and like turbo out Lumra or something.
I guess that's probably a similar idea with Bird's Paradise, especially
Yeah.
because a lot of the stacks pieces are on 1 mana. You would rather just play them instead of the birds.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I think it's pretty fair to say that Malevolent Rumble has gone from uh kind of a curious card to more or less obligatory in the decks. But I do want to talk about it since I think probably 6 months ago I was pretty eh, middling on it. But I'm
Mm.
curious to hear y'all's opinions about it as of right now.
I really enjoy the card. Um, Helping to like fill the yard, even just a little bit, even those 4 cards can sometimes make a big difference, right? Because it could mean like maybe your mirror pool or something, some other impactful land was like the eighth card, and now you're gonna get there with your Luminar flip after you before you with the Malevolent Rumble. So uh, I do enjoy the card, and it gives you the Eldrazi spawn also to for some mana. I think it's a big hit. I was iffy about it at first because, like I said, I don't really like relying too much on instants and sorceries. But I mean, it's only 2 mana, and I feel like it pulls its weight.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think my big thing about Marvel Rumble, I played it for a while. I'm not currently on it, but I probably will go back on it. Is a big thing is one, the Eldrazi spawn makes Colorless mana specifically,
Mhm.
which is very specific for Mirror Pool. And then the other big thing is that it is a May. So if you sit there and you hit 4 lands and you don't want any of these lands, you've already played your land for turn, you can just put all 4 of them into the graveyard.
Yep.
Yep.
And then next turn you're pretty close to Loomer mana.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or you just cast in Loomer that turn, you just wanted to fill more cards in the yard. Either way, like
Yep. So I've not played a ton since this card came out, and I'm wondering what you guys see as the pros and cons for Bossing Say, aside from the fact that it comes in tapped sometimes. Like, what are the deck building constraints? Do you run Moral Forest to make it worth it?
Yeah. So I going into Sinkhole, I did go up on one more forest, so I'm on 6 basics now.
Okay.
Just because I feel like one of the struggles I've had with deck is that even though it's mono green, sometimes you get these hands that don't make green.
Mm-hmm.
You just have all
Mhm.
colorless land. So I wanted to go up on a green land. Um, and I guess kind of helps towards the bossing say so that it doesn't come in tapped. But the reason one of the reasons why I have it in the deck is because I have had my Sun Scorched Desert sometimes like exiled from like a Soul Cauldron, and just having the bossing say as another simple way of saying you're gonna die to really big beats, concede, stop wasting my time.
Mhm.
I really enjoy the land because of that. That's one of the lands I think was in my finals or top 16 game. It was either my top 16. No, it was either my round five or my finals that when like the Scion player that I was up against asked me like, "How are you killing us?" Pointed to the boss and say that it was already on board and he was down to scoop right then and there. So again, it's just another way of telling the table like you guys are dead. There's no outs.
Mhm.
Obviously, you can probably do the same with Guy Reed Sanitarium, but again, I like the simplicity of just pointing to something and just that's
Yeah,
it.
I
They're
think
dead.
that's part of also where our differences come in our deck list. Is since I'm
Mhm.
not on Bossing Say, I want to be running the Timeless Witness. I'm on one less
Yeah.
Forest, and I'm on one more Fetch, and that's like just already 3 or 4 of the card differences between us.
Mhm.
So
Um, so I think LED pretty much speaks for itself. If you're either on it because that's your game plan, and it kind of it's it, or you're just not. And obviously you're way on the Staxio side of things. I am curious about if you like Natural Order.
Mhm.
I feel like Summoner's Pact feels fairly similar. I know
True.
it doesn't go to field, but it has that mana cheating functionality that allows you to do everything you want on the same turn.
Yeah, it does. And it's a card that I think I could consider slotting in, but I mean, at this moment, I don't feel like I need it, to be honest. I
Mhm.
don't feel like I need one more creature tutor. I think my deck's running well as it is.
yeah, I think personally, I would be slightly higher on Summoner's Pact if I was on Grafdigger's Cage. Um,
Yeah,
I'm
true. I
not.
mean, it gets around it. Yeah.
I'm currently on Summoner's Pact. And I'm not on Grafdigger's Cage, and
Mhm.
it's almost always tutoring for a Spring Arcane to go, or because it's just something that says back up bestow it from hand. Like, and most of our other stuff can't do that outside of the Formidable Speaker now.
Yeah.
So
Okay. All right. Are y'all ready for Swiss?
Do it.
All right. So this is our first round. We have Renzo on Lumra versus a Yoshi Silas in 2, Corvold on 3, and Tyam in 4th seat. Cards of the game are Crop Rot and what was are you on Gaia's Reach?
Yeah.
I think we all are on Gaia Reach.
No, okay. Sorry, I assumed with the conversation about so it is extra insurance on the Field of the
Yeah,
Dead, and I got you. Okay.
exactly. Yeah, I can still win. I know the loop, but I prefer just to keep it simple with my opponents to show them, the desert or the
Yeah.
boss we say.
Oh man, I would
If there's ever the One Ring or an Angel's Grace, because
right.
Rocket Shy exists.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is absolutely true. Slop silence stuff is pretty in vogue right now. The hand was second 7 land, Grim Monolith, Horizon Explorer, Crop Rod, and some other things. Um, full disclosure, we're gonna have like sometimes hands are full, are the full notes. Sometimes it's just whatever Renzo could remember.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
I'm not a note taker when it comes to tournaments. I'm just going and I'm playing, and I tried to remember as much as I could early on when you contacted me to do this. But it's tough, honestly. I get
Honestly, I'm not
to
I,
saying
remember
I
I
it
was
don't
the
all.
think
same way.
don't take notes. Take pictures. Take a picture of the center of the board. Board when people are doing moles, take a picture of the table, and then take a picture of the hand you keep, and then now you've got notes. You don't even got to think about it.
Sure.
Um,
I
so
have
talk to
to
me about
ask
this one.
questions
Strong
about
start.
specifically Stylus Yoshi. What is how was that?
Wait, what?
So yeah, it's basically like Turbo Esper.
Yeah.
It is
Trying
just
to
Turbo Esper, yeah.
yeah, like Necro, Adnos, that sort of thing.
hmm It makes sense, but
Yeah. So Drew, how do you want to do this? You want me to
Yeah.
recap the
So
game?
talk me through your game. I have your notes and I've read them. I just it's
Gotcha.
but
Yeah.
first
Um,
first seat first game. How are the
mm,
players? Was this like were there any like shaky new guys? Someone's playing Corvold, so they're either a specialist or kind of an old head. Um,
yeah. So yeah, going into this game, I've played a lot against the Turbo Esper deck. Um, and so I know how fast it can be. And because there are no other blue players, I wasn't feeling good about this game. I said at the beginning, oh, we're just gonna lose real quick. And I asked the time player to try and mull for like a rule of law effect, which he didn't, of course. Everybody plays greedy.
Mhm.
Um, and the Corval player, when I see Corval now, I feel like the few times I've seen it, it's been like a Lance Corval, and this one was a Lance Corval as
yeah,
well. Um, so yeah, going into like this game, I think yeah, I drew Exploration turn one, but I couldn't play it because my only green source was Castle Garenbrig. People are playing their Manarogs or Dorks and passing. Turn two comes, then I play the exploration, drop some extra lands. We go into the Yoshi player, he tutors and passes, and then it's just more mana rocks. The Time player plays Bridget and Wall of Roots. And then on my turn three, I cast Malevolent Rumble. I play my two lands again and keep passing the turn. And going into this turn, like I'm expecting to lose. Like the guy tutored and it's a turbo deck, and now we're going into his turn three. He's probably gonna send it. And that's exactly what he did. He went for a Thoracle consult line. Um the consult resolves with the Thoracle trigger on the stack. Priority gets around. I'm hoping there's like an endurance or something. Nobody has it. So then I crop rot for the guy reach and I kill him with the Thoracle trigger on the stack. Um, the game keeps going. The green decks keep developing. The Corval player kept a pretty bad hand because he didn't honestly didn't do much that game except for calling ritual, which was incredible because it kind of like slowed down time, Bloom, sent him back to the Stone Age a bit. And so after the calling ritual turn, when I get a turn, I just cast Lumra, and that's it. The game's over. I flip everything that I need. So it was just pretty lucky off the Lumra flip, honestly.
I mean, that's why we have 17 ways to win, and we see more cards than God.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
I find that's like, unfortunately, both for Corvold and Tyam, they're just slow enough to impact the game if they slow it down. But if they're setting up for anything, or God forbid, playing Corvold and just trying to, dirtle a lot slower than he was 2 years ago, um, there's just, I don't know, better decks to do what Corvold is doing, and Tyam's Tyam.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
I can't speak from much experience on Tyam specifically. I've thought about putting the deck together, but I haven't studied it much,
It's
and
it's one of the
it
cool.
can get
It's one of the
pretty
coolest decks.
complicated.
It's one of the coolest
Yeah.
decks. It's as someone who is one of the bigger Magda stands out there and loves the complicated lines and remembers when Magda was a lot harder to play. Tyam is still hard to play. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
I mean,
that's one of the decks that
Anala is my second deck, so
I love playing time. It's so much fun.
yeah, I love creature stacks, so it's a good one. Rough beats for him, but that's playing Tyam in 2026.
Yeah.
All right, onto a much rougher pod. Dear Lord.
yeah, that's all this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got Rogthras, Timnathras, and Lumra. Opening hand was lands, 3 lands, a Soul Ring, Explorer, Trinisphere, and Food Chain. So, not a terrible hand, all things considered. Just, you got 2 Turbos decks and a TNT, hoping to slow them down. So talk me through this one, bud.
No, my friend.
Really?
TNT is turbo. This is
Mhm.
a Jorman TNT. It's
Oh,
turbo NOS.
yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, from, I mean, of course, it's going to be slightly slower than the Rogthras, but only slightly, I guess.
Yeah.
I would.
So and yeah, going into this game, I know, 2 of the players I'm playing with, Seat One Rockthras and the TNT player. Um so I kept my hand because, like, if things get sloppy, like the Rockthras players are kind of like keeping each other in check. I just need to land my turn 2 Trinisphere, game kind of slow down a bit, and just get my untapper, get my Lumra, food chain, have fun. Um, and so when I try and cast the Trinisphere on turn 2, TNT shows me the Force of Will. And when you're playing against like these top players and they're playing blue, they really, are gonna try, and this is for like all the Lumber players out there, they're gonna try and bully you with these like counter spells, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like ultimately, I don't care if the Trinisphere gets countered or not. If it lands, great. If it gets countered, that's one less counter spell for my Lumra, for my Untapper, for my food chain. So he's trying to like ask me to like take back the Trinisphere, not to cast it. And I'm like, no, take a game action, cast it or pass. So he ends up casting the Force of Will because it if the Trinisphere were to land, he'd kind of be screwed out of that game because
Right.
he's playing Turbo TNT. Um, so he ends up using the Force of Will. And then the C2 Rogthras player kind of starts popping off because he's got Formidable Speaker and Shang-Chi, and he finds his Cradle and Biomancer. So he's
Mm-hmm.
cloning uh, Formidable Speaker over and over again. And I'm tapping the Cradle and spinning. And the TNT player, he's kind of like, it's him and the seat one Rogfest are kind of like politicking with the seat two, not to get too crazy. They're showing him interaction, like don't get too crazy. And at a certain point, it kind of feels like he's snowballing too much, and we're about to hit the danger zone. So now interaction gets spent to try and stop him, and unfortunately, the seat one Rogfest player ends up tapping out without making some kind of a deal first with TNT, and he ends up tapping out to cast a Baby Rift to bounce Thrasios. And then we go into TNT's turn. They have an Enlightened Tutor, find Necro, and that's it. The game's over.
Yep.
It was, unfortunate. And I think if maybe a deal had been made with TNT, like, oh sure, I'll tap out to stop this guy, but you don't get to push or whatever. The game keeps going, then
Well,
things would have been gone a bit different. But
you may or may not be able
um,
to make a deal with Jorman on pushing,
yeah,
right? Right. So like it's
true, true.
like I don't know if much is to be said there. You probably just kick it over to him and pass prio and mana bully him anyway. I don't
Yeah.
know. There's not a whole lot of good options when you're looking down a double barrel of like a pretty surefire win and someone who is just going to push on their turn regardless.
For sure. And it was just unfortunate because um, on my turn, right, I got curious to see what the next four cards would have been if once I resolved my Lumra because I had enough mana to cast Lumra, and it would have been Mirror Pool and some other lands. Like it would have gotten me there. It's kind of
Yep.
like sucks being in fourth seed
Yep.
because if I was in third seed, that would have been a different game.
The lesson here, children, is if you're gonna blow your interaction on the 3 ball that's going to kneecap both the Rog Thrasses, be sure you can mind control one of them.
Yeah.
All right, let's mosey on to round 3. So we got you in first, then a T and K, then a Sisay, then an Arkham Dagson, Red Magda. The possible hand is Soul Ring, Urza Saga, some lands, Trinisphere, and Root Path. This was a 3-ball tournament.
Yeah.
So walk us through this game
Sure.
and how did it go?
Yeah. So obviously a loss, as we can see here on the slide.
Yeah.
Um, but like I kept the hand with turn two Trinisphere. I had the Ursa Saga to find the Amulet of Vigor. I had Root Path Purifier. Root Path, yeah, is that the name? Yeah, Root Path Purifier.
Yeah.
And I think I didn't have the any of the lands for it, but I think I drew it in one of my turns.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm feeling pretty good about this game. Like if I can land turn two Trinisphere, kind of slow down these decks and just jam. But unfortunately, the blue farm player had such an explosive start that I didn't want to play the Trinisphere. He did like Ancient Tomb, Lotus Petal, PFB, uh Rog, Mamber, Ragavan. So he had so much mana generation, and the other two players, I think Sisay maybe had turn one Lotho, or maybe might have been just land pass, and then the Arkham player just had land into artifact creature. I feel like if I would have played that turn two Trinisphere, Blue Farm runs away with that game because they're making so many treasures.
Yeah. No.
So I didn't play the Trinisphere in this game. Uh, and we're all just kind of like developing our board. Sisay finds Lotho, they start making treasures. Oh, and I should note that before this game starts, because again, I know all the players I'm playing with because I play in this area a lot. I tell the TNK player that the Sisay player is on a chowder build.
A what build?
He's basically playing chowder. He's basically playing like blue
Oh
farm,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
Sisay. He's
Yeah,
doing
Five
no,
Grixis
card good stuff.
Recons.
5 color
yeah,
Yeah.
good stuff.
yeah, yeah, no bad cards.
Um,
To say, got it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I tell him to be wary of that. And so there comes a point in one of the blue farm players' turns where he casts Tatarotaro. This is, I think, his turn two. Uh, I ask for it because I'm mono green, and literally the only thing I tell him. Mono green, give it over here. The blue farm player, I mean, and the Sisay player, Arkham Daxon, they're both offering to show hands. They're saying, we have bad hands. You can see, give us a card." So the blue farm player gets a scope out, both hands, doesn't say anything, doesn't alert the table of
That's
anything,
so wild to me.
and he gives the card to, I believe it was Sisay, or Arkham Daxon, I think Arkham Daxon. Um, And so then as the game keeps going, um, on turn 2, Arkham lands, summoning sick, obviously, but there are also 2 artifact creatures already on board. Going into my turn, I have 2 options. I can cast going into my turn 3, I can either cast Lumra or cast Root Path. And I already have Prismatic Vista in play. I've because the both players, Sisay and Arkham, said they have bad hands, and the blue front player didn't say anything, didn't correct them, like, no, you have something good, you have something good. I'm expecting the game to keep going. I'm expecting Arkham to portal to deal with Blue Farm and to kind of slow down Sisay. So I don't want Root Path Purifier. I don't want to land Root Path Purifier and just lose it to like portal. I've figured let me just cast Lumra. Next turn, Root Path Purifier, crack the Prismatic Vista, Mirror Pool, see what happens. Um, so that's my game plan
Hmm.
going into like my turn 3, turn 4.
I do assume that your turn 3 Urza Saga described amulet.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So I end up just casting the Lumra, passing the turn, no big flips, nothing crazy to keep churning through the deck. Um, Blue Farm goes to combat, makes some treasures, casts ad nauseum. And player 3, this is where like the mind games kind of happens. Player 3, this is a player as tells Arkham like I can back you up if he has something for this. And immediately the blue farm player says, "Oh, I can only lose. I'll lose just 10 life to the Adnos." And he didn't even ask to see like what was in the hand, what was the interaction that they had for him. He immediately just offered to only lose 10 life to the Adnos. And so the Sisay player is going to say, "Yeah, sure, lose your 10 life. I won't use what I have," which was a mind wreck trap, which wasn't life. He would have had to crack his Lotho treasures in order to stop him. Um, and so the blue front player just noses until he loses about like I think 11 or 12 life. Um, and it's a bad nos. There's I think not much other than like a final fortune. He's got 2 mana left over. He's got I think Swan Song
Hmm.
offer. And he passes. And Sisay, because they weren't forced to crack their treasures for memory trap or anything, they instead activate and find Necrodome. Goes into their turn, and they cast Valley Floodcaller. And when he's casting the Valley Floodcaller, I asked the TNK player, "Did you see that in there?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was in his hand." And on the inside, I'm like losing my mind. Like I told you what kind of strategy he's playing and what he has in the deck, and there's a Valley Floodcaller in his hand. You didn't say anything. And we just end up losing to the Sisay. They do an end step breach. And then the Arkham player revealed that they also, even though they said I have a bad hand, they had an untapper. So when it got to their turn 3, they were winning. They were landing Minamo and untapping Arkham and activating Arkham twice. So we were losing either way, but like, the Blue player didn't say anything. So like I'm expecting this game to go long. It was just a clean win, and step breach win with
Yeah.
flash from the Sisay player.
Sounds like uh TNK should have leveraged a lot harder
Yeah,
there. Yeah. So,
they fumbled their own win too by not saying anything.
yeah. Well, that's rough. Sometimes you are mono green playing with players who are just taking the L's on their own.
Yep.
All right. Let's get to a more fun game. This is going to be real fun. I don't think I've had the luxury of talking to a winner that got to do a mirror match. So we got T and K, then Crystal, UB 5-color slop, um, you on Lumra, and then someone else on Lumra.
Yep.
Hand is Amulet, some lands, 6, and a Lotus Cobra, who is the card of the game. Good Snake. Um, How'd that game go?
Yep. So again, in this pod, I know the Blue Farm player and the Crystal player. Played with them out of the tournaments, known them for a long time now. Um, so we're having typical Blue Farm game of like, oh, here's a fish. I think he lands a fish or some kind of card draw. If I remember correctly. Um, I do my tiller engine. Oh no, not me. That was a. I'm confusing with the other bear player. He had a much stronger board than I have. I was so jealous. He had like tiller engine, Nissa 6, like all this really good stuff. Um, I only had the amulet, the cobra, and 6 in play. Um, and once he casts Lumra, the other player 4, he ends up flipping Elvish Reclaimer off his Nissa flip, and in his yard is Zuranorb, and he has 6 in play.
Mhm.
He's hellbent, but it's pretty damn good board.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
I tell the board
Writing's
like,
kind of on the wall.
yeah, I tell the table like we're dead if he gets another turn. And so we go into like the blue farm player's turn, and he has a wish claw out. So he decides to activate his wish claw, finds his necro, and sends it. And that even which surprised me, to be honest, because before this round, I was talking to him, and like I think at the end of either round 2 or round 3, and he mentions, yeah, I'm on a slop version of TNK, and here he is just trying to send it with a necro, um, instead of like prolonging the game, playing some slop stuff.
Hmm.
And I guess he dug very deep with that necro, got down to like 5 life, and Crystal's already out. And maybe he doesn't have too much experience playing against Crystal, but I mean, he wasn't able to find any instant speed win, so he just has to pass with some interaction. Crystal tries to land Keen Sense. Blue Farm tries to stop it, and just Crystal casting spells ends up
The trigger, yeah.
killing, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Blue Farm on the stack, and the Keen Sense resolves.
So it's so it's a a 4-color Curious Control style deck, or is it?
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
exactly. It
Yeah,
was
it's four
in a 4
color.
color, like Curious Control.
Yep.
Um,
But you don't have to run black. You get
and
to run you get to run, what was the old? I guess you get to run white.
yep,
That's nice.
it, yeah, it's sans black. Um, and so with the Keen Sense out, they have Ragavan on board. Crystal Blue Farm's already dead to the crystal damage,
Hmm.
so they're going to combat, and they want to swords my 6 because they don't want me to block the monkey. Um, and I asked them to use the swords on the other Lunar players' turns because they have a much scarier board than I do. Like, I'll let the monkey through, even though giving him the treasure that he needs to try and like storm off. I mean, if I lose any of my pieces, I'm probably losing anyway to the other Lumra if this
Yeah.
guy fizzles. So I take the deal of I won't block. He can pop off, see if he wins or not. Um, and so he ends up using swords on, I believe it was Tiller Engine on player four's board.
Mhm.
Uh, I let the monkey hit me. Doesn't exile anything important. I think it was just like a fetch or something. Um, and he finds this treasure, and that's enough mana to like start doing breach stuff. And so as he's going through like his kind of like storm turn, he's drawing 3 cards from Keen Sense, but he shouldn't have been because he only has 2 opponents at this time now.
Yeah.
And I think by like the 3rd trigger, we realize what's happening, and we have to call a judge. And the judge gives Crystal's hand to player 4 and tells player 4 to choose 2 cards to put back in the deck. And after he does that, I'm not sure what he ended up putting back, to be honest. But after he does that, the Crystal player kind of like fizzles,
Rough.
and they run into a wall, and they're not able to keep storming off. They're out of mana. Um, so they pass the turn to me, uh, and I go to combat, swing with 6. I hit Ancient Tomb, City of Traders, and some other thing. I keep those in deck. Keep those in the yard. I cast Lumra, and off the Lumra flip, I hit Urza's Cave, and the Urza's Cave in combination with the other lands, the City of Traders and the Ancient Tomb. I think I have maybe a fetch in there as well.
Mhm.
With Lotus Cobra out, that's enough to like crack the cave, find mirror pool, keep going, and the game's over there. The crystal player felt bad that he's like, oh, that's the second time I've lost to not killing a Lotus Cobra. But I mean, my stuff was non-deterministic. It was a deterministic death on the other Luma player's board.
Right.
And if I didn't flip the Urza's Cave, or if I don't flip Mirror Pool, I'm passing the turn and we're losing to the other Luma player. So
It,
it was just incredibly lucky.
it's like having two Sisseys or two Magdas on the field. If they're not even if you're if they're not even like if they're even partially set up, you are rolling the dice every time they get a turn. So
Yeah.
Well, good win. Sucks it took two players basically falling on their swords for it, but
Yeah.
I guess the third seat's better than fourth seat.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. On to the last Swiss round. We have my two favorite decks in existence. We have you on Lumra, first seat, and then Sign of the Ur-Dragon, and then our Dwarven Queen Magda, and then Rogsai. And Lotus Cobra's card of the game. And our note for hands is not sure because turn 4 wheel, or seat 4 wheel.
Yeah. We ended up, there was a Wheel of Fortune, so I really don't remember.
Yeah.
So going into this round, this is like my winning in, and the Scion player, I know him. I know the Magda player as well. Currently, the Rockside player is number one in Swiss, undefeated. I think he's at like 20 points or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the Scion player is second with 16, if I remember correctly. Um, and the Scion player is a yapper. So I already know going into this game, I'm gonna have to do the thing that I detest and politic and yap to try and like win this shit. Oh, sorry if I cursed.
You're good, bud.
Okay. So yeah, this game, I don't think I did anything in my turn one, but uh, I did draw a null rod, right? I drew null rod turn one, and that's what I played immediately turn two to kind of like slow down these other decks. Um, Magda is unfortunate in that they end up losing their Clock of Omens to Rock Size Ragavan on turn two. So that really like slows them down. Um, and people are just developing, passing. Before going into player four, Rock Size turn four, they end up bouncing the null rod. They go into the turn, they wheel, um, and they don't find any gas, so they just pass. It gets to my turn. I play Nissa, cast Lumra, and this is where the Scion player starts to yap. He wants interactions to be used either on the Lumra cast or on removing Nissa. And we get just chatting a bunch of like table talk. It goes on for a while, honestly. And eventually, I just ask him like to take a game action because there's a judge nearby, and I want a game action or just pass priority on it. So he decides to use his MBT on Lumra, right? He wants the other table to use their interaction when he has it for when he has the interaction to stop me. Um, so he uses MBT on my Lumra and like, cool, all right, pass. It gets to his turn, he casts Breach, and again, that's why he's fishing for people to use interaction because he's trying to push on his turn. So he casts Breach, and maybe he doesn't realize what Magda can do. Magda ends up activating. First they cast uh, what's that called? The spell that makes tap treasures. Brew?
Bottle Cap Blast.
Bottle
Battle
Cap
Cap
Blast,
Blast.
yeah.
Yeah. They cast that on Scion's Ragavan to try and get some extra treasures before they activate. Um, they gets countered by Scion with an offer, I think. So then,
Thanks.
yeah. So then they end up just activating Magda to get Grafdigger's Cage. The breach resolves. The guy can't win anymore. So he just casts his Ranger Captain and VOs. I think he gets an Esper or something maybe, and just passes the turn. Um, Magda spits out some more dwarfs, passes. Then player 4, the Scion player is asking, like, oh, what are you gonna do in this turn? To the Rockside player, and the Rockside player doesn't want to say, so Scion just cracks the Ranger Captain on upkeep before they can get to the main phase and play anything scary. So the Rockside just ends up passing. I go to my turn. I end up casting Grim Monolith and then Lumra. It lands, and now there's a Tabernacle in play, which is gonna be brutal for Magda.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're only, I think, on like 3 lands by now. And the Nissa triggers end up revealing Formidable Speaker. So I end up I don't have an untapper at this point, and I want to cast the speaker to get an untapper. And I think on my Lumra cast, the Rockside player had mentioned like, "Oh, this is just your second spell." So like, I'm expecting some kind of interaction. So I try and bait it out by casting Aftermath Analyst that I had in hand, and it needs a Mindbreak Trap from Roxai. So then I still have enough mana for the Formidable Speaker to get Horizon Explorer, and I end up. I think I still have 1 mana left over, if I'm not mistaken. And I cast Sylvan Safekeeper. And
Nice.
that's when Scion player starts to yap again, and he wants Magda to get Portal to Phyrexia. I tell the table that I'm just passing because I'm out of mana, I'm out of juice. And Magda ends up activating, gets Portal. Um, my Nissa and Speaker and Lumra go away. Safekeeper lands. I pass. Um, and player 2, I think, casts Heuristic Study, passes. Magda is on 3 lands. They pay to keep their dwarves. They cast a Vexing Bauble, and they don't. It should be noted that they don't have a vehicle or any way to like tap the dwarf, so they're going to combat to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, and they only have the ability to get up to 2 treasures. So they just pass, and I think player 4 then casts Backside of Bergie, tries to dig, finds nothing, passes, and on this end step I sacrifice the Tabernacle, so I don't have to waste mana to keep the Safekeeper alive.
Mm-hmm.
So going into my turn, I cast the Horizon Explorer, and I cast Lumra. And pretty pricey at this point. I think Lumra costs 10 mana now. Um, and the yapping starts again. Scion wants somebody to do something about the Lumra. He wants the Magda to crack the bauble so that the Rockside player can cast his only counterspell left in his hand, which is Daze. Um, Even though like Scion has a pretty fat grip from the Ristic study because people haven't been
Yep.
paying into it. Um, and so there's a lot of table talk happening. Um, and the Magda player is reluctant to crack the bauble because he sees a prismatic vista that I have in play, and he's just saying like Roomba can just crack and pay. It's worthless. And I'm trying to tell the Magda player like before you crack the bauble, you should ask Scion to show you hand so to make sure that like he can't win on his turn. Like maybe your thing is stopping some kind of like I mean, his breach is already in the yard, but maybe he has Savines and LED in hand or something, like you might want to get that information out of him first, but the sign doesn't want to share what he has in hand. So Magda decides not to crack the bauble. Um, the Rockside player still casts the Daze to trigger the Ristic Study, and the Scion player goes for a snap on, I believe, maybe my Sylvan Safekeeper. I protected, and he keeps talking to the Magda player to try and crack the bauble, and the Magda player cracks it. He then can cast Commandeer to try and now change the target of the snap to the untapper, and I protect it again. I don't know why he was doing this.
What?
Because like I have like so many lands in play
He's
already. Like
he's hoping
it's a waste.
he's hoping that he can
Why does he
drain
not?
you and get his next turn off with the bobble gone. This is
Maybe.
all smoke screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um.
this was when Loomer was on the stack, right?
Yeah. This is with Loomer on the stack. So then, yeah, the his commandeer resolves, changes the target of his snap to Horizon Explorer, but by now it has shroud, so it fizzles. The bauble counters the days, and my Loomer finally resolves. Um, I end up flipping. I think I flip a Lazotep Quarry, and I had a Lotus Cobra in the yard.
Yep.
So I ended up just making a copy of Lotus Cobra, casting Loomer one more time, and now it was deterministic. I should note, I forgot to mention this, that when they were considering, Magda was considering whether or not to crack the bottle the first time, I showed them Root Path Purifier in hand, and I said to them, I won't cast this if you don't crack the bauble, because I had Prismatic Vista in play, and that would have made it deterministic. Like, I will win if I land the Root Path
Yeah.
Purifier, and I
Yeah.
made a deal like don't crack the bauble, and it's a maybe. It's non-deterministic.
Yep.
Because Lumra costs way too much, and I had way too many fetches out that they weren't doing much. They weren't cracking for anything.
Right.
So I got
Plus
lucky.
Tabernacle was there as well. Like,
Yeah,
it's another
yeah.
land that doesn't
So
produce the mana.
a
So
land that does nothing. Um, so yeah, I got lucky hitting the last step core to make a Lotus Cobra, and then the next flip revealed create on Field of the Dead, and that was game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job. I think my lesson whenever I hear someone playing against Magda and Magda's like first search is a cage and looks like, ooh, did Magda win that game by defensively tutoring? No, children, she did not. Don't.
Yeah, I think maybe. I mean, it was very unlucky that he lost his Clock of Omens, right? I think if he doesn't lose Clock, Magda can probably win that game, honestly.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to portal. They can hold on to those 5 treasures, and they could have, I don't know, probably done something better.
Yeah. It's the game is completely different. You're now talking about 10 treasures instead of 5. All right. Let's move on to top cut. All right. So it's top 16. This is Kinnan. Assuming no bad cards.
Yep.
You on Lumra. T and K. Is that Jorman?
No.
No, he's TNT, right.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Aang at the Crossroad. That's the Bant one.
Yep.
Cards of the games are Lotus Cobra and someone else's Voice of Victory. Can't wait to hear about that. And
I
then
want to know.
yeah, I know what the story is here. Someone did not realize that lands were fine. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen it enough times. So 2
Lands
lands
are
is
fine even through the Grand Abolisher.
yeah. People just forget those cards exist. So 2 lands, a Soul Ring, a Horizon Explorer, an Endurance, Aftermath Analyst, and Library. So run us through your top 16 win, buddy.
Yeah. So going into this game, I know all 3 players that I'm playing against. And I've been dreading once I found out, who was in top 16, I was really dreading playing against Stang because I've been playing against this player on the NJcEDH Discord all week, and he was just cooking with Aang every single game. I think I only beat him once, but again, it should be noted that that week I was only playing Big Flips Narset. I wasn't playing Lumra.
Okay, well, yeah.
Um, yeah, so we start the game with Kinnan keeping a no lander fish hand. So it was like, I think, I don't know, Lotus Petal, fish. Um,
Against
Yes.
Aang and Lumra.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think Aang asks, if we want to do a fish pact, and Blue Farm says, no, I'm going to give him one. So, like, all right, fine, then I'll give him one too. I end up casting, I think, turn 1 Soul Ring. Um, Blue Farm goes Mana Vault on their turn, and Aang just has a turn 1 Dork. Turn 2, Kinnan pays for fish with ESG. They still don't have a land drop.
Damn.
He casts Oh, he cast Lotus Petal in turn 2, so I think it was Chrome Mox maybe that he used for the fish or
That's
something.
rough.
Can't remember. Um, on my turn 2, I have a Sylvan Library. Then player 3 has a Voice of Victory and pass. Player 4 then decides to now feed the fish. So he ends up casting on like these mana rocks. He casts Relic of Legends, to then tap it to cast his own fish, and then Kinnan tries to commandeer it. Um, and Blue Farm then steps in to misstep the fish. Um, so now we go into Kinnan's turn. They let go of the fish because they can't pay for it. They finally have a land. They play their dork and a couple of free rocks, I think. On my turn, I go Horizon Explorer into Analyst, and um, pass. And player 3 then goes to combat. He forgets to mix his tokens from the Voice of Victory, and Aang reminds him like, "Oh, shouldn't you have the tokens?" And the Kennen player got annoyed, like, "Why are you reminding him of his trigger?" Um, so the Blue One player ends up making the tokens that he then uses to cast a Calling the Weak and to Taint the Pact, and he's trying to find his win con. He finds he ends up losing in this Tainted Pact a Thoracle. He ends up losing Praetor's Grasp, Brain Freeze, and then he finally hits the Nas. Nas doesn't do much. He gets down, I think, to like 2 life. Um, he bounces the Relic of Legend, um, and then just passes, I think, because he doesn't have that much mana right now. Um, Player 4, Aang, ends up replaying the Relic of Legend, passes again. Um, Kinnan finally lands Kinnan, and then passes to me. And then on my turn, I have Scape Shift. I've drawn it, I think, for turn, and I show it to the Kinnan player, and I ask him like if he wants to show me like counter magic to discourage me from casting it. He doesn't want to show me, but he says he has something that'll stop me. So then I crack the analyst, and that's when he wants to show me the endurance. And I tell him that I'll just chill, and because there's a wasteland currently in my yard, and I tell him like, okay, well, I'll just chill, and I'm not gonna do any crazy shenanigans. I'll just use the wasteland to blow up the land that Aang has. It has a wild growth in it to kind of delay Aang coming down, and he agrees to that. So I just crack the analyst. I pass. Then player 3 starts again, still having the Voice of Victory in play. They end up casting Breach. And to be honest, I'm not sure what he thinks he's going to accomplish because Brain Freeze is gone, Thoracle's gone, Praetor's Grasp is gone. But he has that new like blue Brain Freeze creature. I'm not sure what the name of it is.
I don't remember his name either.
Oh, Exhibition Tidecaller, I think.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so he starts milling out the table. Not me yet. But he starts milling Aang in particular. And a lot of Aang's good stuff ends up going into the yard. He mills Kinnan for a couple of cards. He mills me, and then realizes it's a mistake. So then he goes back to milling the Aang player. Um, and he just ends up passing the turn with like Crom. He ends up casting Crom, a Squelcher. I guess he just wants blockers because he's a 2 life. Um, and I don't know, maybe he's hoping Crom beats or something. I don't. He has no more win counts left in the deck, honestly.
Question for you.
Yeah.
So you haven't cracked the analyst at this point. You were trying
No,
to.
no, no. I did.
Okay,
I did. I brought back the Wasteland, and going into the Yang player's turn, I Wasteland
Yeah,
his land that has the wild growth in it
gotcha.
to prevent the Ang from coming down.
I assumed Technocron maybe has some way to generate infinite mana. Maybe like they're trying to just fairy mastermind or something. But even then, I don't know how they reshuffle cards. So
Yeah. I have no idea what
I'd
his
have to like pull up their list and
process
look at it to
was.
kind of figure out if they actually had any other way to win.
Mhm. So then yeah, player 4 ends up finding a clone and casts it to clone the Voice of Victory so that he can't get messed with as much anymore. And then he casts a Grand Arbiter, passes the turn. Kinnan lands a Ristic Study and passes. On my turn, I see Lotus Cobra and off of the Sylvan Library. So I go Lotus Cobra, Lumra. Uh, Player one is asking me if I'm gonna try and like push and win because he still has the endurance, and I tell him like I can't really win because of the endurance. So Lumra resolves, and the Cobra triggers. Create enough mana for me to cast the Soaring Michael Spawn that I have in hand, which gets Mirror Pool, and I pass to player three.
Yep.
Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Yep. There it
and
is.
so at player three's end step, they don't have much, so they just pass the turn. It should be noted that they have a flash enabler. They have a Valley Flood Caller.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the cards that he casts during the breach turn. He's just trying to find blockers. Um, And so on his end step, because I know he has nothing, like I think he has very few cards in hand. His removal spells are all gone. They got exiled while he was doing his breach stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just decided to crack the miracle right then and there. I could have done it on the Ang player's turn as well, but I just stop wasting
The
time.
Ang player is more likely to have something
Yeah.
at the point the game is at. Yeah.
Yep.
So I end up just doing it here on Blue Farm's end step, and it starts yapping how he can deal with my deck and blah blah blah. And I mean, I know I'm protected. I'm just letting him yap because I'm trying to fish information of what he could possibly have to like try and stop me. Um, and there's a lot of table talk happening, and I think the Blue Farm player reveals that the only thing he can do is like cast an seal and kill himself. But like, it's kind of what's the point of that? Like
Yeah,
if
there's
you're
no draw.
losing,
There's no draw.
there's yeah. uh so he doesn't really take any
Well,
game actions.
I mean,
Mm.
pause for a moment.
Yeah.
Um, if he can stop you from going off on his turn, because you won't win, right?
Mm.
That is deterrent, right?
That's
you're
true.
trying. He's
But
trying to hope you believe that he's crazy enough to
mm,
lose hard enough so the mono green player doesn't win. Uh,
yeah.
I've seen it
But
with Magda.
like I said, I know all these three players, so like
Yeah.
to
And
do
another thing
something.
is the
Yeah.
point of the Ang is that the Ang's basically on a deterministic win.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like yeah.
But I guess I don't know if I mentioned in this, but I should note that I have Emergent Zone out. So even if he does crack the MCL, I Emergent Zone, and I'm pretty sure the Blue Farm player doesn't have any counter magic because probably would have shown it to me to try and discourage me from casting the Scape Shift. If because
Yeah.
the only thing that I think he had was Endurance and a Beseiju.
Yep.
So I can cast Scape Shift at instant speed and win the game there.
Gotcha.
What
Um,
does Emergent Zone specifically do here? Because Voice of Victory is out.
it gives me flash. So like I do it in response to his MCL. He dies,
Okay.
and now I'm
Yeah.
playing
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
flash. Yeah.
And then you're playing with Flash, and after
Mhm.
the Voice Victory is gone. Okay,
Yeah.
that's specifically what you meant. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So so he kills himself. The other guy shows endurance, and you crack his zone. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Um. So yeah. After a lot of talking, I just tell the table that this is my voice of victory too. I'm protected. And that's when they realize like, oh shit, we're dead. Um. The Lumra, I mean, the Miracle activation resolves. Lumra ATB is on the stack. It resolves, and I'm just speeding through it because I feel like the game's pretty much over. I'm naming all the triggers like, okay, I'll make this much mana from Lotus Cobra, and the Kinnan player is a little bit upset, a little bit frustrated. He's like, wait, I didn't pass priority on those Lotus Cobra triggers, and he tries to mirror pool. I mean, Besage my mirror pool, so I just activate in response and keep the loop going again, and that's it. The game's over.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
It was a very fun game. Winning under a voice of victory is one of like the sweetest things
Oh yeah.
to do. Someone else's voice of victory.
Oh yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
It's almost as good as doing the chaos loop on someone else's Thoracle after um professional face breaking yourself out of library. Curse mirroring someone else's merfolk. That's pretty good too.
Yeah.
All right. Great job, buddy. Let's move on to the top 4. So we have Scion. I'm assuming the same Scion from
Yep.
the 5th round. A Francisco Rog, a U on Lumra, and then a Terra.
Yep.
Cards of the game are Beacon and Malevolent Rumble. Hand was 3 lands, Vault, Tezzy, Worldly Tutor, and Nature's Rhythm. So, was this as so the last game felt like you didn't necessarily have it locked, but it sounded like strategically you felt like you're in a pretty good spot the entire game.
Yeah, I mean, if I had to rate which game was more difficult, I feel like my top 16 was a much more difficult game
Okay.
as opposed to my top 4.
All right, well walk us through it.
Yeah,
This looks
so,
like food chain
so
was fun here.
going into this top 4, I know all the players that I'm up against again because locals to the NJPA area, um, and so we decided to split the pot. It's late, and we people are tired, so we just split the pot. But we're playing for the points, bragging rights. A Scion player really wants to get those top deck points to try and get into like the MV.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so in the hand that I kept, it didn't have any stack cheeses, even though there's turbo in C2. But like because I know of how the Scion player plays and how player 4 plays the Terra player, like I wasn't feeling scared that I was gonna lose to the turbo deck. I was sure that there was gonna be interaction to stop the Rakdos deck in C2. Especially because they even had a pregame talk about it, to like mold for interaction to like keep the game going.
You could be greedy.
Yeah, I can be greedy in this spot. So yeah, uh, starting the game off, Scion goes land, 2 free rocks, passes. Player 2 uh, ends up casting Rog into Dark Ritual, into Calling the Weak, into Adnos, and it eats a Force of Will immediately. And he's pretty much out of the game after that. He doesn't
Jesus.
really do much. Um, I just go like land pass, Terra goes land rock. And the game is just a lot of like passing, draw pass, especially for player 2 because he's got nothing after that at Nos. Um, on my going into my turn 2, I try to end step Worldly Tutor. It eats a mental misstep immediately from the Scion player. Um, and then on my turn 2, I get lucky and I draw Tiller Engine anyway.
That's
um,
great.
yeah, player 4 ends up casting a gamble on their turn 2, and player 1, the Scion player, he wants player 4 to find remove for the Tiller Engine that's in play. Um, and I tell him that he is better off getting Dranth because I know he has it in the deck. If he gets Dranth, he stops the breach strategy from the Scion deck. He stops the Scion deck. He stops Scion from landing.
From getting the
He's
from getting what's his face horde the brooding hoarding brood lord. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he's on that line, but for it stops the his commander from landing. It stops Lumra, and if I were to try and remove the Dranith, there are things you guys can do, like the blue players can do to defend it. So that's what I'm telling him, and he ends up thankfully listening to my suggestion and decides to get Dranith. Um, and again, not much happening on turn 3 from player 1 or player 2. On my turn 3, I end up drawing Xehanort, but I don't play it because I don't want to scare the table into seeming like I'm about to like win the game or anything.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
So I just do land, mana vault into Tez, untap it, and then Nature's Rhythm for 3. I get Elvish Reclaimer to try and beat the Dryneth by getting Command Beacon out.
Mm-hmm.
Then player 4 lands its Tithe. Um, Player 1 continues to pass. Player 2 continues to pass. I cast Malevolent Rumble on my turn, and it finds the command beacon. So now I don't even need to spend mana to activate Elvish Reclaimer to
Nice.
get it. And I play that for turn. I still pass because I don't have enough, I think, for Lumra mana just yet. And then player 4 finally casts her commander. It flips Breach and Mirror Maid, and he decides to take Mirror Maid. The Scion player warns us that Mirror Maid is a combo with his commander, which, to be honest, I'm not entirely sure how the backside of Terra combos with Mirror Maid. I think it makes infinite Mirror Maids or copies or something, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not too sure how it combos.
Let me check real quick because I'm kind of curious. Ooh, let's not go too crazy. Yeah. I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm looking at the. Interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess you do make. Well, no, it's a legendary enchantment. Yeah, I don't know how it works.
Yeah, me neither. um, maybe there are more pieces to it than just Mirror Maid. And he was just trying to like scare the table.
Yeah.
But yeah, on turn 5, the player 1, player 2 keep passing. And it gets to my turn, and player 1 wants player 4 to use her silence on me, which he ends up using it, so I can't cast Lumra. I mean, I suppose I don't know if I had enough mana for Elvish Reclaimer into
E-zone.
E-zone, but I mean, I'm fine to keep chilling. So I just play a land and pass and hold up the Elvish Reclaimer in case there is some kind of like Terra Infinite combo that I'm not aware of to try and like phase up the Terra or something. Um, then player 4 casts Mirror Maid, doesn't enter as a copy of anything, tries to swing at Tez, and I don't want the Tezzeret gone because if the game ends up being very long, I want I have the option of keeping untapping my mana vault for extra mana. So I just decide to phase the Terra then. And there's a redirect lightning that the Terra has in hand that he's deciding whether or not to use, but he doesn't want to use it yet. Save it for protection for like Drannith, I guess. Um, and on turn.
Oh, okay. This is
Oh,
off
did you
topic
find
a
out?
little bit. Yeah, so the or the Esper Terra Mirror Maid is Mirror Maid doesn't copy anything. You just don't choose to copy anything. And then when you flip Terra, Terra's first chapter ability triggers creates a copy of Mirror Maid, which will enter as a copy of Esper Terra. And the 1 to 4 war counters, you kill the oldest one due to the legend rule, whatever. But then the token chapter ability triggers, you can choose how many war counters to put on it, and you can resolve the first Mirror Maid token trigger, and that creates a token of the Mirror Maid that's not copying anything. And now that Mirror Maid that's not copying anything can copy the Terra.
You make
Right.
infinite
So
mana.
I think that's something along the lines of what you mentioned. Um, so yeah, going then into my turn. No, I'm sorry. After the Terra player's turn, we go into the Scion player's turn. And now that the silence is gone, he ends up casting the Necro that he has in hand. So he digs deep. I honestly don't remember how much life he ends up paying. Maybe 18 or 28 or something. And he's trying to find, I guess, interaction for me, or possibly just a win for himself. He doesn't find instant speed win, and I think he's passing the turn with just tropical island up. And his only counter magic, I think, is like a mind break. No, mind break trap, I think. I can't remember. But yeah, he fizzles. He doesn't have the win, passes. The player 2 ends up casting 2 creatures that will end up comboing with his commander if the Drannith ever leaves, and he can recast Francisco. So on my turn, I just going into my turn, I crack the command beacon, put Lumra in my hand, go to my turn, cast Zern or cast Lumra, and that's it. Game's
Yep.
over.
Yep.
Um, Player one did try to Noxious Revival the command beacon in response to me sacrificing like my last land, but like Lumra ETB was gonna bring it right back from the top of the library, so I don't know what the point of that was.
Mhm.
But yeah, he
Game
ends up trying
actions, man.
to yeah.
Dude, yeah, I see people not. I've seen like when doing a shy of a Suva stuff, and then somebody's like, "I have a Noxus revival," and I'm like, "Okay, and."
Yeah, so I mean
Cool for
after that,
you.
Yeah,
I asked the
but it
table
fifth
if they're
from the
down to
top.
concede. But and he's like, no, play it out. We're in a finals game. Just play it out. I'm like, you guys are dead to this bossing state that I already haven't played. Like, are you good to call? I'm gonna make my lands infinitely large, and then he decides to concede there.
Earth Bending gives
Um,
haste, right?
yeah,
Okay,
makes
yeah.
the creatures
Mhm.
hasty.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. Again, they want more game actions. They want the opportunity to lose on their terms, which
Yeah,
is they want to say I got nothing. Um, all right, well, great job, bud.
thank you.
All right, you ready for a quick wrap up?
Sure.
All right. So I feel like I can answer this one for you. Sometimes there's wins where it sounds like people, you know, weren't 100% in control of their games and a couple of happy accidents, but it feels like you were pretty well positioned both strategically and in just how you were playing in general. How do you feel like you did?
Um, you know, I think when it comes to playing Lumra, there's an element of luck because of like the cards that you're flipping, right? You
Hmm.
don't know what's on top. And like yes, you can have a great strategy, uh, but you also need that little bit of luck to for your Loomer flips to really do something impactful and help you and propel you into winning the game. So I think I played it well. Um, in terms of anything that I could do to improve, I already know like my biggest weakness is politicking. I don't like politicking. I don't like yapping. It's a necessary evil to try and win these games. Uh, Politicking at least, but like excessive yapping, that's something I really despise.
Mhm.
Doing I had to do it in that round five that went in to, protect myself from the scions yapping to, that was trying to focus all the attention on me. Um, but I think yeah, if I want to be better or like have better tournament results, it would probably be to just get better at like politicking and stuff. But I don't,
Yeah,
to be honest,
I think
it's not my style.
specifically speaking on politicking, I'm a pretty strong politicker. I
Hmm.
don't I don't yap. I'm very clear and concise on what I'm doing, but especially being on the mid range turbo plan I'm on, where it's more like I'm playing Eldrazi Confluence and the
Hmm.
other like a lot of the board interaction that will extend that game for mid range. Being able to have that stuff as a politic tool helps a lot.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
specifically like because most of my stuff is on board interaction and not just stacks pieces. I think for me specifically, like my voice is my biggest tool,
Yep.
which it's a little less on that aspect when you are on the stacks pieces.
Yep.
Um, which does help for if somebody like in your case you're saying you're not a super strong politiker, and I think that definitely helps a lot. Just being specifically like on the stacks pieces.
Hmm.
And I actually had a question about stacks piece I forgot to ask earlier, but since I'm talking about stacks pieces right now, I'll ask. We talked about it a little, me, Aaron, and I think Jumbo. We talked about Chalice of the Void,
Right.
and I was wondering what your thoughts on Chalice of the Void were.
Um, I never tested it in the deck before.
Hmm.
Up until I think this week when I saw you guys in the chat talking about it. I think I have it in the deck, but I haven't gotten to play any test games with Lumra yet, just to see how Chalice does. I think going into the MV. Into the Flood Maw, Chain of Vapor, and Firestorm are all things that I really don't want to see being used
Hmm.
on me. So I can see the case for having Chalice in the deck in that meta.
That's kind of where I'm at on it as well. I think I'm going to be making a change to put Chalice of the Void into my list, even
Mhm.
though I'm not on many stacks pieces.
So my question is there a case you made for vexing over? Or are you already
Like
on
A
vexing?
case for
cutting Vexing Bubble for Chalice. Is
No,
that what
no,
you were
like
saying?
are you guys on
Or
vexing right now?
yeah,
Okay,
yes.
yeah. Okay, so it's in addition. Yeah, then I would just
yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um yeah, I like Chalice of the Void. Um next question. Any cards that we haven't already talked about that you feel like overperformed or like underperformed, you're considering removing it?
I don't know that I'm considering removing anything right now. I mean, like I mentioned, I did remove PP Cam, and just because on like the games that I did see it, it always felt like, oh, I was already winning. Sure, I'll take another Loomer flip. It always felt like I was already doing what I wanted to do, or sometimes I wasn't able to use it because it's a card that comes in the early game. You can land it very early, but as the game progresses, I might put down a Noof or a Collector or an
Hmm.
Orod, and now I can't use the Peter Parker's camera. It's just there sitting on board, useless.
Right.
Um, yeah, so I ended up cutting that. But in terms of like overperformers, I think yeah, Lotus Cobra and Nissa, I think those effects are very strong. I would love
Hmm.
for another one of those things to be printed. I mean, there is tireless provisioner, but because and I was on it for a while, but because I'm on, Null and Oof, it just feels bad when
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
treasures that I can't really use.
Yeah, I think real quick we'll touch on Peter Parker because we didn't really talk about it earlier. I think the Staxier versions are are a little less on it because you're running that null rod and the oof, and like you're
Mm.
prioritizing those more. Because like a lot of the thing, I mean, Peter Parker's camera can do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Like it can copy your Evasion of Ikoria trigger because Evasion of Ikoria is a ETP trigger,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it's so much it can do. But if you're on oof plan or null rod plan, and then you see your Peter Parkers, it's like why is it here?
Yeah.
And I definitely can like see some of these like heavier stacks versions. Like also like if you draw your if you like you play your root base, it makes Peter Parker's one turn slower also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think a lot of the heavier stacks versions, I know some of them are still on it. I want to say Jumper is on pretty much the same stacks pieces and Peter Parker's, but I think him and I have talked about it, and I think that is something he's considered cutting as well. So
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it felt a bit awkward sometimes. It's great in my Magda deck, but I don't know so much about Lumina, at least for my build.
Yeah, I mean it just really is. Everything that is has an opportunity cost with it. You're using it with your commander mostly, right? And the four extra cards, unless you can sacrifice all your lands in response and you have a Cobra effect, which to be fair, you're already winning that game probably if you can sacrifice your lands and have a Cobra effect, right? Like
Yeah.
you do not need Peter Parker's camera. In the situations when it's like middling to low value, it's literally four more cards, and that's just not enough. It could have
Mhm.
been any other card, and it would have been fine. And that's when he doesn't non-bow with your stacks pieces.
yeah, that's part of why for me specifically I'm on Peter Parker's, and I talked about possibly like looking at Trinisphere. And I think Trinisphere would be the first stacks piece I would consider putting into my list if I was going to put one in there, just because I'm on Peter Parker's, I'm on a couple of those other artifacts like LED, and Trinisphere, for the most part, doesn't really affect those because a lot of the time I'm cheating LED into play with something,
Mm.
or I'm making a copy of it with Microsoft Gardens, and at that point, like the 3 mana spent to play it doesn't really matter as much because I'm still gonna eventually make 3 mana.
Yeah. Um, we talked enough about the game to skip the 1v3 situation. Um, So you said you're not thinking about making any changes. Do you think your version of the deck is fairly close to ideal? Like a grindy win cons are on board, uh, moderate to heavy stacks use is just ideal for I guess like Rog Slop plus like Kin and Country stuff.
Well, in terms of the changes, right? I am at least for this rest of this month testing Chalice,
Sure.
especially going into the MV. But is my Lumina list the ideal Lumina list?
For your
You
meta,
know,
like for New
for my
Jersey,
meta,
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it does well for me, and I think the results speak for themselves. But everybody's got different play styles. Like somebody might enjoy playing Lumina, but without the stacks, they might enjoy it much more like turbo build. So I really think it's like for up to player preference. Like whatever you feel most comfortable with, I think is the best option. But if you're open to trying stacks, I think for sure, like yeah, go for it. Try the OOF, try the Trinosphere, see if you can win some more games that way.
Cool. How do you feel about Lumra's place in the meta?
It's a good question. Um,
It's a hard
you
one.
know,
It's
Yeah.
always a hard one.
Yep.
yeah, it's always a hard one. Like people ask me like
Hey,
sometimes,
We know Cam and Dylan's opinion.
yeah,
What did they say lately?
Um,
I think they just trash on Loomer or something. They
yeah,
called it
pretty
a free
much
buy or something.
they've been trashing on the bear.
Yeah.
It's okay. They trashed on Magda too. They didn't know how to build it.
Yeah, we've talked about some funny joke things that we might do, and some people might see stuff about that in the future.
All right.
But
Fun for fun.
Um. So yeah, I've gotten that question before. Like, if I think Lumra is a good deck, and what I tell people is that it's a good deck in my hands, right? Like I've put in the work, I've put in the hours to try and like really like master the deck. I think it's a difficult deck to pilot. You know, it's not like a deck that you're just count to six. Here's Lumra, I win. No, there's nuances to that. You really gotta like put some time and effort into learning the deck, and I
Mm-hmm.
think it the deck rewards you, especially when you get into like the top tables and you're playing against like these really good players that are gonna try and like be interactive. They're gonna try and make sure the game goes on long enough, and we can just be parasitic and great. The game's going long. I'm inevitable. I will end up doing all the land things that I want to do.
Yeah. That's, I think that's what makes it really powerful. Um, Stack agency is always going to be a problem, but I think
Yeah,
that's what sets um Lumra apart from a lot of the I think Turbo Lumra plays a lot like a Rakdos deck. Um and you can kind of get bopped. I mean, you obviously have better rebuild, right? But you're trying to do the turn 3, turn 4 thing. And that's pretty slow compared to what the Rakdos decks can do because of all of their uh, you know, black production. But I think in a world of I think in a world of like blue ROG decks where the stack deck starts to feel a lot better and gives you a little bit more, at least in your mulligans, a little bit more agency at the table because you decide how
yeah,
fast the table gets to go, even if you don't have the opportunity to manage the stack very well. You can play around the stack when you're winning because of your lands, but you don't really have the opportunity to stop wins. So you have to if you're playing the turbo version, you're seeding a lot of you are just accepting all of the weaknesses of mono green pretty much. And I
Mhm.
think the stacks mid range version just um shores up those weaknesses a little bit better with, I guess, superior card choice.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the distinction then becomes like how all in you are on not presenting interaction um, opportunities in terms of playing Safekeeper, Allosaurus, Dosen, three ball style effects versus just not playing as many of the I win cards that are counterable, right? And I think that's where the decks like ultimately like between you and like Light and Flame, for example, I feel like that's like the bigger distinction. Playing stuff like Elemental Teachings versus not playing cards like Elemental Teachings or uh Realms Uncharted, etc.
Yep.
Um is there moving on to the next question, is there a card interaction or like combo that you've discovered recently you think other Luma pilots should like be on the lookout for in terms of like synergy or just like this plays a lot better than it looks on paper, for example?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, like a play pattern that I've previously overlooked. I would say, when I think I mentioned when I first started with the deck, it was just like the turbo version, and then I switched to the stacks. And knowing when to keep a hand with stacks, um, and knowing when to keep a much more greedier hand, I think that is one of like the bigger skills that you got to try and develop if you're going to be playing this deck in
Mm.
like a tournament setting. Like, you know, at Sinkhole, some of those hands, they had Trinisphere, but in one of those games, like I mentioned, I didn't play it because it was just not the right call. So you really got to know when to. You might be mulliganing for stacks, but doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna play it or that you should play it because it can inadvertently help someone else win the game. Um, and sometimes, like the stacks, they do get you there. Like at the Tabernacle tournament that happened a couple months back, that was a 260 something player event, and I ended up getting top 16 there. Um, and all the games that I won in Swiss, I won them because I either landed a null red effect or a Grafdigger's Cage, um, or a Vexing Bauble. And, just like really hosed down a lot of the decks there. Um, and I don't think if I was playing like a turbo version of the deck, I would have been able to do that. The games where I kept a much slightly greedier hand, it didn't do as well. So I think learning how to play stacks is one of like the bigger skills to try and like really master the deck, or at least my version.
I mean, I think even in general, just when you have a pile of synergy, a lot of hands can just kind of like blend into, well, yeah, that does something, doesn't it? And maybe by turn four I'll have something. Um, and when you have stacks, you have clunkier hands that help you um, differentiate between good hands and bad hands a little bit more obviously, I think. I mean, obviously, when to keep that comes, partnered with the fact that you have to learn when to keep stacks hands and when to not play the stacks, even when you keep a hand with stacks,
Yep.
and so on and so forth. Like that's another level of understanding stacks in the game. But I think it's just uh, it's a training weight, as it were, to help train your brain on like how to evaluate your hands.
Take notes, people that copied Light and Flames lists,
What's that?
because he does saying like he's Light and Flame, or Ian is a very heavy stacks player also.
Yeah.
And I know a lot. It has been a pretty large influx of people that have joined the Discord and just are copying or getting recommended Ian's
Right.
list. And it, like, yes, it's a good list, but at the same time, you have to remember it stacks. If like you need to know the ins and outs of how to play stacks before you
Right.
just
It's
can
like
you don't expect the same results with the list just because it is a good list.
right. I remember about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when the list for Magda started shifting from like a moderate like a medium stacks um light mid range to more of a mid range with a little bit of stacks deck. Like the number of new players who were confused and hurt by playing the primer went down precipitously. It was nice to not be like, damn, I suck at this. This deck must be hard. So I guess we're shifting in the wrong direction in that sense. More bears are gonna be like, damn, this winning list has hands, but not for them, for me. All right,
It's okay though. Then we have less people think we're good, and then we win more tournaments.
that is absolutely true. We can get through round two without getting mind controlled against by good players. Um, so last question. It's the question I always ask at the end. For Loomer pilots, what is one tip or just like life lesson, as it were, to improving both with the deck and in cEDH?
I would say playing with conviction. When you're playing a deck that has stacks, right? Or even a deck like just mono green in general that's like not going to contribute much to the table in terms of like stack interaction. Blue players are going to try and bully you with their counter magic. They're going to try and scare you by showing you that they can counter your stuff. And I think you need to just like try and like stick to your guns and play what you want to play. Make whatever deal you might have to make. Um, if you really want the thing to resolve. Otherwise, make them use it and make them learn that interacting with a mono green deck that can't really stop them from winning is not necessarily the best move.
Right.
Um, so and then especially if you're playing stacks and you might get bullied into like, oh no, don't play this because this player's going to run away with the game. Like, you might have a strategy. You might know like, no, I need to play the stacks piece because I want these stacks kind of hosed down because I want to do something else on this following turn. Like don't be afraid to make a mistake. Just play it and learn something from it. If you end up making a mistake, if it ends up being that you were wrong and your stacks piece kind of fumbled and allowed somebody else to just run away with the game, well, now you know for next time. But I would say, yeah, just playing with some confidence, I think, is a very good lesson to learn.
Okay. What about you, Justin?
Oh, I wasn't expecting to answer this. I have a joke answer, and that's that Oracle Modiah is 3 out of 3 for first place lists that have not seen it.
Yeah, it's a good luck charm.
Yeah.
It,
In all seriousness, probably I definitely agree with playing with conviction. People are going to try to bully you. Don't let them. It's part of playing the deck. You're mono green, like you're not gonna be able to eventually answer that counter magic anyways. So just force them to use it. Either force them to use it or or call their bluff that they don't use it.
Mhm.
So,
um, my answer is a little more generic. I'd probably say the same thing about Magda, but layered combo decks just do be like that sometimes. Um, it's easy to think um Lotus Field and just kind of turn your brain off. Say, okay, I'm gonna tutor for this. Find a way to get that, and then make that my game plan. And it's easy to mulligan with those types of things in mind. Um, Obviously, as the deck's gotten better and the pieces that win the game have gotten a little more varied, um, that's gotten a little bit easier to break yourself out of the habit of. But when you're mulliganing and doing test hands, play the test hands out, play them out to the end of the game. It's very easy to think, okay, I have like infinite mana probably, and probably have an out here, and then you just go to the next hand, and then you haven't practiced actually getting to your out and winning the game. I also highly recommend, once you've seen your hand and you decide you're going to play it, pick a random out or combo piece, and say that's how I'm going to win this game, and then angle towards it. Not because it's not because that's what you should be doing in your game, but sometimes your alternatives are not going to be there, and knowing how to get from X game state to this like combo ender or piece of combo piece, whatever it happens to be, um, is helpful for you seeing different lines in a variety of game states. Um, just always be questioning if the line you default to, or you what you think is like the easiest, most consistent, is the one that is actually the best in the situation, and consider why it may not be. Um, so you don't get tunnel vision when you've decided on a line during a game, because it's very easy to do in a layered combo deck when you know what like the most efficient or the oldest or the one everyone uses is like apparent. And that's what I'll say. It's mostly a practice thing. All right. I think that brings us to the end, and I want to thank you both for donating your very limited time, Renzo. It was great to talk to you, and congratulations again. And as always,
Thank you.
Justin,
Appreciate it.
thank you so much for co-chairing with me. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you guys for taking the time to do this, and Drew for putting these slants together, man.
Yeah, this is the easy part. It's winning the game that's the hard part, actually. All right.
Yeah,
Well, we'll see you next time, Bears. Next time someone tops or does something really cool like winning a tournament. Keep practicing.
we you never know. We might have something coming up soon if I get my ass together and finish it.
All right, cool. All right. Well, you have that to look forward to. Later, gang.